All right, yeah, we are live. We are live. What time is it right now?
6:58.
Okay, so we'll just hang out until 7 and get started then.
Okay, so can I see you on here? I know.
You
Oh, I
should,
can.
yeah, you should
Oh,
be able
you know
to.
what? I only can see this.
Yeah, yeah, but you can.
I can't see.
Yeah, that's what everyone sees. So, but just make sure you know, if somebody has a question, just respond on it.
I'm
Thank you, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. You can use Jessica. What's going on, Jessica? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I've been excited about what we're going to talk about this evening, Jess. I think it's very interesting. And I think you might find it interesting too. I hope you do anyway. Um, yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, thank you so much. Jessica, I was telling someone the other day that, hey, Nacho, I was telling someone the other day why I what am I expecting out of this podcast? These weekly conversations that we're going to be having every Tuesday p.m. And like there are things in life, Jess. I think that I think the beauty in certain conversations is the variety of different points of view and different experiences and different perspectives. You know, and that's what's important to me. And then sometimes we get so caught up because those perspectives don't align with our own. We're like, oh, okay, I disagree with them, and all that. I'm like, and you got confusion and chaos, and that's not really what you want. But what you do want is variety. And like I find these kinds of conversations with, if I could just have these conversations with just you and you alone, Jessica, starting like just me and you going forward, as you was my first last week. I really, really am grateful that you're coming along the ride with me. And evidently, more than just you, Jessica, someone is interested in what we're talking about, because I think our last podcast episode, well, our first podcast rather, came out at 32 views. Yeah, 32 views, 34 views, something like that. So the fact that, just starting this thing up, putting it out there on Facebook, letting people know, hey, this is what we're doing every Tuesday at 7 p.m. To have 32 views, I am so grateful, because to be honest with you, like I didn't expect that many. And I don't have a certain projection. I want to have this many views by this certain date and this many views, and I want to try to monetize. That's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I want to have some really good, honest, heart to heart, interesting conversation. And tonight we're going to begin with something that I think a lot of us have a real issue with, a fear with, a fear of. Hey, T. Marie, thank you so much. What's going on, cousin? Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think, well, let me just start from my own experiences. Ever since the earliest, memory I have of a snake, it was not a good thing. And I remembered everything about it, like it getting on me and how they slither and how they can like attack and what, anacondas can do and all that kind of stuff. I've always had like, like a bad, thought in my mind when you start talking about serpents for that very reason. And because I had that attitude towards, you know, let's just say snakes or what have you, that tended to, how should I say, that tended to shape my emotional connection to something called fear based on a snake. Whenever I would see a snake, I'm going to become afraid. So I don't care if it's a big snake, a pretty snake, a ugly snake, a snake that'll bite you and you don't get, poison or whatever. All you know is when you see snake, you see fear. You run or you want to attack and kill it from a place of fear. Well, believe it or not, I've never been in a room with a snake. I've never been bitten by a snake. But I have a very strong emotional attachment to my hatred of snakes, you know, and I've never met one in my life. I got to be honest. And I have all of that fear. Why am I bringing that up? Well, the reason I'm bringing that up is because that same fear has a religious base in our lives that inform us also of what a snake is. Uh, Whether or not we really, really say we buy into the Judeo-Christian model of Adam and Eve in the garden, whether or not you really buy into that or not, you do have a working framework of what the story is about. And in this story, the snake is the bad guy. And in this story, the snake is the bad guy so much that they use the snake to explain, what evil would look like at that time, way back in the Garden of Eden. This is what evil looks like. So if you notice when you start looking at religious text, especially from the Judeo-Christian model, and they start explaining creation and good and evil and everything, notice how they automatically always associate the serpent with the snake. And then that just further strengthens those fears that you already have of these snakes as they, crawl along the way and slither everywhere. Like, oh my goodness, like you have a cultural basis of hatred of snakes, and you also have a religious basis of a hatred of snakes or serpents, if you will. That's what the Judeo-Christian model basically uses to explain what a serpent is, what a snake is. No doubt you love snakes. I'm going somewhere with this. I'm going somewhere with this, Jessica. So now you have a religion that further reinforces existing fears of snakes because you don't like snakes also for whatever your own personal reasons. That's important because what if I was to tell you there's another way? Everything that I just said is 100% correct. in terms of explaining how Westerners, or you and me and everyone in this room, how we understand the serpent. Because the serpent comes from a Judeo-Christian, at least within the Judeo-Christian model that informs the culture that we live in here in the United States of America. The serpent has a negative connotation in an important mythology that governs those people, and it's negative in nature, and it reinforces people's already evolutionary predispositions to snakes and all that kind of stuff. But what I'm saying is it's saying that snakes are a bad thing, but there's a different way of looking at this. In India, there's something called the Cobra test. The Cobra test is where they bring a candidate that wants to be a yogi, or a guru, whatever you want to call it, and they bring them front and center, and they bring a cobra to them and lay the cobra. The cobra hasn't been trained not to bite. Okay, they lay the cobra all over his body or her body. This is called the Cobra test. Now, let me explain to you what is going on. A snake crawls on its belly. It has very poor eyesight. It can't see that well. It's practically blind, to be honest with you. And they don't have eyelids. So when they get attacked, let's say like by a mongoose, and they start kicking dirt in their eyes, that's what wards off the snake, because they can't blink. Can you imagine dirt in your eyes and snakes But yeah, they don't have ears. They can't hear you. But they crawl on their bellies, and they can feel everything. So understand their experience in terms of feeling, what you and I can relate to. Feeling. They, excuse me one second. Excuse me. They are interpreting the world based on how they feel. They're understanding the world around them by flicking out their tongue, so they can pick up the molecules in the air and pick up different pheromones or what have you. They also shed an exoskeleton. Snakes, when they attack, it's because they felt something is going on. Because you have to think about it. If your entire existence is predicated upon your ability to tell whether or not an enemy is coming, that's what determines whether or not you live or die. We're Black people in America. Who would better understand that metaphor? Like, you have to be very sensitive to your surroundings in certain neighborhoods in this country. That's all I'm saying. But the snake has to make sure that it is very, very, very in tune with whatever is going on around him, because I cannot rely on my eyes. I don't have any ears, so I don't hear. So if I flick out my tongue, maybe I'll pick up something in the air. but it's primarily my body. And I don't have any arms, by the way, you know. So this is the snake, the serpent. When it detects that there's a danger, that's when the snake will begin to attack, aggress towards you, because it detects a danger. Why cobras? They place the cobra on the Brahman to be. The cobra will not attack if the Brahman remains calm. The Brahman's ability to survive the situation that he or she may find themselves in is greatly determined with a cobra wrapped around their body, ready to strike. But their survival is contingent only on one thing alone: their ability to remain calm. And it makes perfect sense because the snake, now granted, it isn't hungry. The snake will have no reason to attack you because you are so calm that you can actually handle the snake any which way you will around your body. What does that require? Calm. That requires you to have a total different orientation towards snakes to begin with. Because notice now, the snake, when the Brahmin puts the snake down, he puts the snake down. He never picks the snake up ever again, unless there's a need to. And he goes about his way. And that is what determines if he or she becomes Brahmin, or at least priest, or yogi rather. Because they remain calm. This is an Indian understanding of calm, such that in India, the snake, the serpent it's no issue for them. It's one of their many gods that they may have, but be that as it may, what it stands for is when the Brahmin puts the snake down, the serpent is not an enemy or something loathed, if you will. The serpent then becomes a symbol of one's transformation from man to holy man or woman to holy woman, because the snake didn't attack them, because they remained calm. So if they were already on the road saying, hey, we're dedicating our lives to the priesthood. Oh, yes. Okay. That's what you want to do. You sure you're ready to do so? Are you sure you want to be a priest in this priesthood? Yes. And you sure you can go ahead and you can survive the Cobra test? Yeah. Excuse me. Yes. And there it is. And everybody is successful. Everybody is successful. But it's because they didn't remain calm. So when you see the snake and you're able to say, I remain calm, the snake becomes no more or no less important than anything else because you're at one. Does that make sense what I'm saying? No, if you are paying attention to what I'm saying, does this make sense on any level? The reason this is important is because notice how you have the Indian approach towards the serpent. Thank you, Jessica. You have the Indian approach towards the serpent and their approach and understanding of the serpent. They even play with their babies, play with them. They're like, pets. It's not a problem for them. But then over here, you have the serpent has all these negative connotations, which puts you at odds, even with your understanding and engagement with that same reality, the serpent. But you have a different approach towards it. Because for those of us that actually do adhere to the Judeo-Christian model, you understand and buy into that the serpent is negative in nature. That's part of your story. So see how the two are at enmity now. That's where the Indian approach and the Judeo-Christian model approach, that's where the problem is. I hope that made sense. Even more importantly than that, the Indian model, I believe, teaches us something that's to be desired. Notice how when the individual going through the rites of passage, through the Cobra test, notice how because he or she remains calm, they survive, master the situation, if you will. And that means that you have no fear. No fear, no fear. Absolute no fear. And to get to that point, that's real freedom. And it's possible. The reason being is what that told me was a snake in and of itself is nor good or bad insofar as what I think it to be. Whether I buy into this model, suit yourself. Whether I buy into that model, suit yourself. But what I found liberating was that right there still is dependent on the person who is me to say, I believe in this or that, but it's my decision. It's my decision. And if you look at a snake and you become afraid, recognize it's your decision to be afraid. Because we've already proven it's your perspective that determines your engagement with the serpent. If we understand that, then we now understand that any emotional attachment I have to this thing now is solely dependent on me. So, whatever this thing is that I am afraid of, all I have to do is make up my mind I don't want to be afraid of you. It's really that simple. It's possible. It's possible. I hope what I said made sense. I hope what I said made sense. Well, I'm going to go ahead and shut it down, guys. I want to thank you all so much for uh, coming along this ride with me this evening. And thank you so much. And you all take care. God bless. And I'll see you all next week, 7 p.m. on the dot. We're going to discuss something else. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. But yeah. If something comes up, I'll post something throughout the week to let you know what the topic may be. But I'm thinking about going in one direction about something. But nonetheless, thank you all so much for joining us along this way. You all take care. It was a good conversation with you all. Enjoyed you all as always. Take care. Bye bye.